Good.
What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm joined by my man Chris Franklin of NJ.com. Chris, we were going over the games, and before we get into the topics, I'm going over the games. I'm looking at them again. This week's games suck, man. Like the Thanksgiving games suck.
It's
I
I
think
don't know. They have this Watson computer that comes up with the best matchups that pleases all the networks and everything. It's supposed to be one of the smartest things on the earth and everything else. How did they come up with this? This is
yeah, this
bad.
is this is not a good slate. And Dallas is on Thanksgiving. Who's Dallas got that on Thanksgiving? I know I'm all over the place, but I just thought about it.
Giants, Dallas Giants.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a wow. Okay. All right. So before we get started, we missed last week's show. The Eagles had a big win. The Commanders had what when the season started was an expected loss. They've flown well. Before I get into who I thought the win resonated, who I thought was a bigger win for, the game was bigger for. What can you take away from last Thursday's game, where the Eagles beat the Commanders in resounding fashion?
well, I think we've seen that this defense, even if it's a rook against a rookie, this defense is for real. I think we learned
Mm.
that. You look
Mm.
at the linebacker level.
Excuse
All of
me.
a sudden, Zach Bond now,
Mm.
it, he's legit. Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
He's a legit option for the being a potential All Pro. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I got something.
No, all right. We lost you audio wise,
Sorry,
Chris. So I'll
sorry
jump
about
back
that.
on it. There we go.
There you go. Cool. Sorry about that. It's
No, you're all right.
that
It
you
is the
look.
holiday season, bro. We are all flying around.
It's
We are
crazy.
all hanging. If you got anybody that loves you or you love anybody, you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off right now. So you are all good, bro. Go ahead. You're
It's
talking
crazy.
about Zach Bowen.
Zach Bond, he's in the legit conversation right now for to be an all pro.
Mm.
And even if it's a second team, he's a legit in that legit conversation. When's the last time you've seen a team have this team at least especially have a solid back seven, like linebacker and secondary? You haven't seen it in a very long time. So I look at that. I look at the offense. I still think Saquon Barkley is this team runs right offensively right now, still runs through Saquon Barkley. It has to. There's
My
still some
MVP
elements to
pick,
that
right?
passing. They need it. He's he's elite.
Yeah.
We all knew that, but he's elite. It's funny what happens when you actually have a competent offensive line in front of him. What he can do, Giants. Anywho, I think that's what I learned overall, and this team can meddle through. We know this can be a second half team in
Yeah.
terms of behind. You don't have to panic. So there's a lot you can take away from that game.
Well, just dealing first on the aspects of the game. What I saw in that game was when you play a divisional opponent on a short week, anything could happen. Like anything could happen. And sometimes that opponent's record can be thrown out of the window. But in this case, you had two teams that have been playing at a high level. For me, I love the way the game went, the ebbs and flows of the game. The Commanders looked like they had control of it early. I believe they had like a 7-0 lead, start the game out. And Eagles kept fighting, kept fighting, kept fighting. And then eventually you saw the will of the man overpower the skill of the man. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. And with Barkley, what I was excited about, it wasn't the breakaway runs. It was the fact that you see a guy that's excited to play football. So what you're seeing is he's willing, not willing, but he's willing to to put forth that extra mile, to fight to dip a shoulder instead of dipping out of bounds. And the Giants are struggling, but oftentimes what happens with all professional athletes is when you're part of a losing culture, you lose that little that gets you to the professional ranks. Because we all got talent, B. But to get to the professional, it's just a little screw loose to make it to the professional football league. To want to run into men that sometimes outweigh you by over 100 pounds. You know what I mean? A guy to take on a guy whose one job is to take your head off. I got a little screw loose. And when you start playing on losing teams, this is what you see going on in Dallas. The screws get tightened back up. It's like, nah, I'm good. I think I'm gonna make a video for the tickety top rather than go out and study some film. But yeah, specifically for the game, that's what I really was excited about. We're seeing the Eagles will. I know Devontae Smith is out, I think, this week against the Rams for a hamstring, if I'm not mistaken. And Normally you'd be like, oh, they're losing a little, but that's fine. Zach, that guy. I want to call him Rudy Gobert, and it's not Rudy Gobert. The tight end's been struggling all year and staying healthy, and he hasn't been missed much. They're sitting strong at an 8-2. So that win to me was a big win because the Eagles needed it more than the Commanders did. No one expected the Commanders to jump out this year and have the success that they're having. But nobody, even people like myself that expected them to be a better team, expected to be a what is 7-3. No one expected 7-3. So that's now going into the big picture about Zach Warren. He's on a 1 year deal, right?
Yeah,
He's on a
one
one
year
year.
deal.
So
Uh-huh.
he's playing for the money. He's playing for the money. So I don't think they're going to be able to resign him, but I hope that they put a precedent this offseason on not getting a linebacker, but a playmaking linebacker. Eagles haven't had a playmaking linebacker since, dare I say, Willie Thomas. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's pulling it out your butt. But it's been that long since they've had a week in, week out. You expect this guy to make a play, and I'm thinking to the Andy Reid linebacker days. Trot really wasn't a playmaking tight end or playmaking linebacker. Jerome Barber wasn't a playmaking linebacker. Maybe Mike Caldwell. Yeah, I'm struggling. I can't think of. Yeah, we got you. Lost your audio again.
Sorry,
Mark
it's
Semino
going out.
was
Stuart Bradley a little bit. Jay Trot.
no. You think Stuart Bradley was a playmaking linebacker?
Well, before the concussions, all the concussions
But
that like for a couple things, and then when concussions came, it was like,
when them
okay,
screws got loose again.
yeah, it came back. It was bad for that one too. So yeah, I look at that and I see when it comes to that, I look at him. He's got like they had that. It's rare because I look the way I look at the way Dean and him are playing. It's almost like that old school Jeremiah Trotter, Carlos Simmons type when those two were together.
That's Carlos Evans. That's the last playmaking line. And Carlos made plays off, like even when Carlos made plays that you only saw if you watch film. And not the all 22 that everybody made. I'm so tired of that. But like if you really sat down and watched, like if you watched the game more than once, you saw play. Like before they lost Carlos Evans to the Giants, tight ends didn't have big games in the Eagles. Tight ends historically did not. The middle of the field was not an option between Dawkins and Emmons sliding over and Trot able to come down. The Eagles were a formidable defense. Then you got Kirkland and Semino and all that for stuff. Now, I want to transition to the other side of the ball. We talked about Barkley a little bit. I want to talk about Hurts. I Jalen Hurts hasn't had an interception since like I want to say week 4 was the last time he had an interception. I know I think he had one against the Commanders, but prior to that, he hadn't been throwing any interceptions. He's been playing good football, and feel like and help me out here if the criticism is is unwarranted at this point. He doesn't need to be. He needs to be better. I would agree, but he doesn't need to be perfect. And I feel like everybody when they say he still needs plays on the field. What quarterback doesn't? Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. In fact, you know what? I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes or Brady, but they've gone to the podiums and said, we left plays on the field. I missed the guy here. I missed the guy there. So when you're talking about a guy that you take over Purdy, I take over Joe Burrow, I take over Josh Allen, and we'll talk about in a little bit. It bothers me that a guy who prior to the game hadn't had an interception since week 4, had been playing terrific lights out football, had been making good decisions, and he's made some awful mistakes, but every quarterback does. You just feel like when you're talking about criticism of him and what people expect of him, it just doesn't feel like they don't expect as much from the other quarter. Not even that. They're expecting way too much from him. The bar, the goalposts, the things get moved around for him. Am I wrong here? Do you disagree? What say you?
No, I think you're right about that. I think the goalpost moves a lot, and it's really rough when you look at this too. I think it's part of things when it comes to us, especially not so much you and me, but a lot of my brethren. A lot of times we're so quick to go, okay, yeah, but to play the yeah, but game.
Yeah,
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 this,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but yeah, but guys playing so well right now, and I'm just like, I'm trying to find the right words for it because it's been built. I'm sorry, this has been building
Yeah.
week after week after week because we keep saying, okay, Hurts is doing this, Hurts is throwing so well, but he's not doing this. Meanwhile, you got a guy looking like Aaron Rodgers. It's starting to turn a little bit, but Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers throw for that. Oh, look at this. This is Aaron Rodgers. He can still do this. Look at this. He's courageous. Blah blah blah. But this team stinks. The offense stinks.
yeah,
So it's a double standard that we're seeing more and more about in this, and I'm not liking. I know clicks are needed. I understand that. I
yeah.
know some shows need some like, oh, Nick Wright. Sorry.
I like Nick Wright, but he is one of the people I'm talking about. The criticism is like he's way too critical of Jalen Hurts. Go ahead, I interrupted
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And the thing is, I lose the fact that people like the one loss that everybody looks at is how does he help you win?
Hmm.
And I'm looking at the streak right now, 6 game
Yeah,
win. Yeah, he does. It's number two in the NFC right now. Yeah, he does. In the
yeah.
discussion, I don't know if they're on past the lines, but in the discussion to get the top seed, yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that later in the year because I think thou protests a bit too much about the Lions. I think Detroit's a little bit overvalued, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's I look at it, I'm like, all right, this I just hope it's. I think he's going to deal with that too. I also think where he was drafted, I think that played into it as well too a little bit because he was. When you look at that class with Burrow, have you, and then he was a second round pick, Herbert, Burrow, and then Jalen Hurts second round pick, and he could be a gadget guy for this offense, and all of a sudden he
Yeah, that
comes
pisses me
like,
off. That pisses me off. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's a good documentary on Amazon, Evolution of the Core. It gave me those types of feels to that. It's like
yeah,
guy can play, guy can play. Like let's start that. But I think there's some people are still holding out, going, "Well, they're waiting to play the 'I told you so' game of 'I told you he wasn't going to be as good as this. I'm told you this,' and then he continues to win. It's a little quieter that way, and they're going to wait until he loses. See, I told you.
yeah.
It's enough of that.
Barring any injury, I'm willing to go on record now and say I believe the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl. Now, will they win? We're not going to go there. But barring any injury, any catastrophic injury, any injury to their top skill position, specifically Barkley, I don't see anybody in the NFC East that can put together or NFC, excuse me, four strong quarters to beat the Eagles. That includes the Lions, and we'll dissect when that road comes. The final, I want to just coin of I kind of captured it with this one with Hurts. Yes, he needs to be better. He doesn't need to be perfect. And too many times we're asking him to be perfect. And then when you look at him against his contemporaries, he blows them out of the water. Whether it's team wins, touchdowns, any playmaking stats, anything, he blows them out of the water. And the argument about weapons, it's funny because when certain quarterbacks don't have weapons, you got to get him weapons. He's trying to make a play. If you get him weapons, he's taking advantage of his weapons. But what hurts, it's if he doesn't have those weapons. We got to judge him because what if he's got the weapon, so he's got to take advantage. So yeah, but I love the success that he and Barkley are having. I saw a stat the other day that talked about, they left possibly nine touchdowns on the board for Barkley because he got to the 1 yard line, and then they do that stupid tush push, and they get. I I understand that, and if I'm Barkley, I want it, but there's also a way to look at it. Who get into the end zone? Like don't get down at the 1 yard line. Get into the end zone. But I love the way Hurts is playing. Speaking of a quarterback that I begrudgingly have to say I love the way they're playing, and it disappoints me. But I talked about him last show as my MVP pick, and he hasn't done anything since this point to back away. He in fact led his Bills. He made the play to take his Bills to take out the Kansas City Chiefs, and dare I say he outplayed my guy in Mahomes. But Allen is by far Josh Allen is by far the MVP. If Barkley had those 9 touchdowns, you could have an argument. But, I can't imagine anybody, and even Lamar, who's played well, but the bar has been raised for Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen to me is the MVP. But as the Bills as a whole, can we, I guess it's a simple cliche. Are the Bills for real? Are they a legit AFC threat?
First of all, I agree with you that Allen's the MVP because you lose Stephon Diggs and you're still putting up those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good in that. But I think they are. I think they can win the AFC only if and this is a big ace, was the way they started. If they get the number one seed, if
No,
they
it's
can
not gonna
take
happen.
advantage of the division games
It's not gonna
and
happen.
they get the Chiefs to lose one more, and they had the tiebreaker or just finish the same record, they had the tiebreaker head to head, I think they can actually win it because you're getting them away. I know the Chiefs play what in Arrowhead, it gets cold, what have you. I think it's just something different about those Chiefs going having to go back up there a second time. Tougher road, especially if you're the two, you're probably playing the three seed, which could be either the Chargers. It probably will be the Chargers, the West, 'cause it's the AFC South. It ain't doing it this year. So you're looking at that. So you get they play the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers will win that game, but the way that Harbaugh has them playing, at least they'll be more physical and can wear them down. Will be a tougher matchup for them as well. So I look at it the fact that I think they can really do that. They have elements with Cook running the ball, which is key, especially with that one. They have a good
Yeah.
balanced offense, and the way that Josh Allen is making these plays when needed. There's been so many years we're waiting for the Josh Allen turnover late in the game. We're waiting for the Josh Allen. Oh, he's going to fumble it, or he's playing hero ball, and all of a sudden he's got a wide receiver screaming in his ear, going, "What are you doing to me?" Stephon Diggs. But yeah, you see a lot of those things and stuff like that. I think he's playing his best ball, and to the point where I think Sean McDermott keeps his job because I think another early exit he was going to be gone. I think he just played well. He saved his coach, and the league's going to want to give him at least one MVP. This is their window to give. Like, we can anoint you to be the one because even as much as I think
Yeah.
Saquon's done it, they're giving that always to a quarterback. They'll Saquon the offensive player of the year, what have you, which makes no
Well,
sense.
If Saquon had got no touchdowns, and they would have gotten it. I cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good, man. I look at it like because I think they want that offensive player of the year, which I don't for the life of me, I don't understand why the offensive if a quarterback is usually an MVP, why isn't he also the offensive player of the year? But they want to give that to position. It's just I don't like that. But I think it's one of the points where I think Josh Allen's playing well enough that yeah, we could see the Bills back in the Super Bowl. Will they win it?
It's not gonna happen. It's not
Nah.
gonna happen. Listen. I know I've been wrong about a couple things this year, but I've been dead on some other things. I like the Offensive Player of the Year award personally because I do believe that at times the MVP is more about value. Offensive player is more about stats. So sometimes the offensive player goes to a guy that may not be on a good team, where MVP usually comes from a guy that's on a good team because he elevates that team. So I don't really have a gripe with the award. But going back to Josh Allen and the Bills, the thing that's impressed me about Allen is he's made good plays. Like he was for a long time a feast or famine guy, and now he's making solid. That's putting some things in the microwave. You know what I mean? He's not sitting at the stove. He's putting some things in the microwave and just kind of warming stuff up versus trying to make the 15-course meal. The reason why I don't believe they're going to Super Bowl is because the decline starts here, though. Getting a bye after that win is the worst thing that could happen to this team. So now they're walking around Buffalo. Everyone's getting them pats on the back. They're not paying for gas or beer. Life is good in Harlem for them. Everybody loves a Buffalo Bill because this was their Super Bowl. We finally got those guys. No, you won a game in the course of an NFL season. Well, we finally no, you won a game in the course of an NFL season. Conversely, Kansas City sitting in that chair, stewing. They're hot. They're mad. They're tired of these little pissant Bills beating them. So Kansas City's going to roll out. And it doesn't matter if that game is in Moscow or Bangladesh. They're going to have something for them when that time comes. So I don't think it's got, but um, even if they finish second, I don't understand. I was trying to find the standings while you were talking, and I wanted to hear what you were saying, or pay attention to what you were saying, so I didn't bring them up. But it's unlikely that they're going to go on the road outside of the number one seed. So I can't envision a team coming into Buffalo. See, that's the key, man. It's cold some places. Your nipples fall off in Buffalo. Like it's it's intense. And I can't envision a team going there. Michael Vick's got a great quote when he played the Eagles in the NFC title game. He said he came out on the field. He said he felt that cold. He said he told everybody it ain't cold, but in his mind he's thinking, I want to go home. I don't want to play. I ain't trying to play football here. And that's what you fit. That's what and that it's candid, but it's It's true, man. It's true. And so I'm just thinking, I can't envision a team going in there and doing that. I just can't. So the buck will stop for them in Kansas City. The buck will stop. Whether it's in Kansas City or in Buffalo, the Chiefs will make amends. Now, what's an AFC title game berth look like for Josh Allen and an MVP trophy? It looks like looks like he replaces Joe Burrow in the "we love this guy" rankings. You know, I do, and that's fine for him because he earned it this year. He definitely earned it. I think he'll pass Lamar Jackson in people's pecking order if they haven't already had him. I would still take Lamar Jackson, but Lamar's got to make a Super Bowl, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year either. And at some point for Lamar, it's Super Bowl or bust because the metrics in which you measure him in any other statistical category is different. You measure him differently in statistics with passing because you incorporate his runs, touchdowns. Last touchdowns, get it because you incorporate his rush touchdowns. So his wins have to include a Super Bowl win. So yeah, but I definitely think the Bills fall short, bro. I don't see it. Um, I like the addition of Amari Cooper, but it's not going to be good enough. You know, DeAndre Hopkins is going to make like if you got to choose between Hopkins and Cooper, who you taking right now in their careers? You still exactly. Oh, excuse me. So and you got a choice between Allen and Mahomes. You got a choice between Reed or McDermott. Like they've got all the nods. You know what I mean? You got a choice between Chris Jones or any defensive player on the Buffalo Bills team. Who are you taking? You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. You think, geez.
I mean, Jesus, you probably take Kelsey over anybody on this position in Buffalo outside Allen. So yeah, I definitely think they fall short. So I want to change course quickly. Speaking of teams that we have questions now, this is a team I think we'll agree on, and I salute you and give you credit. You were the lone man on the Arizona Cardinals bus. You were the only dude there. And slowly but surely, Kyler Murray's mom came on there. You know, Marvin Harrison came on there. You had a couple of now the Cardinals look like they're for real. The
Yeah.
Cardinals look like they're going to win a playoff game. What say you?
Well, I had to be honest. Like I said, and then I saw the start. I was like, you know what? Oh, this bus is like speed. Let me get off this bus real quick. Wait, no, let me get back on real quick. Yeah, they're off. The thing that surprises me with it, I like their way their offense is playing. Marvin Harrison Jr. And you look at Murray, they're getting a lot of chemistry. Kyler looks. Pay attention. I say this in jest, but look at this. A new Call of Duty came out, and Kyler is still focused.
I
I'm just
can't believe
saying.
I can't, I can't believe you went there. Can't believe you went there. That is hilarious. A new
But
Call
I'm
of
just,
Duty.
I'm just saying he's focused and he's playing so well right now. He's not making a mistake. He's playing within the system, which is key. And who would have thought this? Jonathan Gannon really has this team buying in. Like we've heard things when he was with Philly, like the guys liked him, what have you. He was able to get them enough to get them motivated. Now, when it came to his play calls, that was a whole different thing. But at least motivating wise, he was able to do it. He's taking his team. He's pushing the right buttons. You got to credit Nick Rallis, their defensive coordinator over there with the Cardinals as well too. And you look at the way everything's sitting now. The 49ers are without Purdy, and he's coming back. He's banged up.
And
We all
Bosa.
know the drama is going. Debo's is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen
Yeah.
because we saw he pushed with Jake Moody, and after the kicks and everything, waiting to see like, all right, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, for the life of me, this is the year. I know they're rookie head coach, but this is the year. It's ripe for them to leap out, and they haven't done anything yet. There's still a
Yeah.
chance, but it's so bad. And then you just look at this. You just look at this division. I'm like, yeah, they really could. And the problem's going to be they can be one of those teams that, as a four seed, they could knock out somebody like
Yeah.
they can win a playoff game. They can win a playoff game because of that.
Yeah.
They don't see that down too. But you also look at the way they're playing; they can take advantage of that. So it's a tough road, but it's a good road for them. Like I think they can do it. What do you think?
Well, I'm gonna just jump right on that last point you made and then kind of go backwards. Tyler is a playmaker. Is he a great quarterback? But he's a great playmaker. And when he gets going downhill, once he gets the proverbial downhill going, he's a guy that can make plays, guy that can get you going. Marvin Harrison is another one who can make plays for you. And I actually expect them, I'm not going to go through their whole schedule, but I expect Arizona to finish out. They're about 5 and I want to say 5-6 right now. or five, excuse me, 5-5 right now. I actually expect Arizona to finish out at about 9 or 10 wins. And yeah, they're 5-4 right now, or excuse me, 6-4 right now. And you look at the layout of the teams that, well, shoot, we'll play the game that I hate the most. And what's that game everyone says? If the playoffs started today, and starting the playoffs started today, the Arizona Cardinals would be the third seed, and they would grab the Green Bay Packers. Look, I don't think they can beat Green Bay in Green Bay, but I think they could beat Green Bay in Arizona.
Yep.
I definitely think they could beat Green Bay in Arizona. So one loss difference between the two. And Green Bay hasn't looked formidable this year. They've had some formidable moments, but they haven't looked formidable this year. And I believe Jordan Love is still dealing with that injury, and he hasn't yet healed. And they probably should have stayed with Malik Willis longer. That's just my $2 $5 tip. So you're looking at a muddled 7-3, 7-4, 6-5, 6-4 midfield. They could wind up playing the Falcons. Check down Kurt. I mean, you and I are big Kirk Cousins fans. Like we always say Kirk Cousins is not as bad as people try to make him out to be. You're gonna be close to winning 9 to 11 games every year. You'll be competing for a playoff spot. And if things go right, you could make it to the second round and win at least a playoff game with Kirk Cousins. So I think you and I, but I like Tyler. I like Arizona, whether that game's in an ATL shouty or Arizona. So lastly, the Rams, same difference. You know what I mean? The only teams I don't believe they could beat are Detroit, Philly, and Minnesota. And it doesn't matter where those games are. I don't think they could beat those three teams. So yes, I believe they're a legitimate team. I believe in the Arizona Cardinals. I believe they've got enough playmakers to win a game. The bigger question is what do you do next year if you're Arizona? But we'll cross that road when we get there. Quickly, we're pushed up against it, so we got about 10 minutes to go. Give me your we'll go just give me all three of your picks at once. Not at once,
All right,
but you know
cool.
what I mean.
Yeah. First one I'm going with the Bears are getting three and a, they're getting 3.5.
You're
Home
gonna touch
dog.
that game, huh?
I want to touch it. Yeah. And I'm going, it's a home dog. It's my system. Home dog, 3.5. Vikings, on the road. It's not the dome team going on the road.
Yeah,
And I think you're looking at them. I think Eberflus is fighting for his life. I think his team knows he's fighting for his
his
life.
life is over. He's done. His life is over. He's done. They just fired. Didn't they just fire the coordinator?
Yeah, they did.
And
Yeah.
now they're talking. I know we said we push again it, but we're going to unpack this one. They just fired. They just fired the coordinator. There were reports. I want to say 2 weeks ago that people wanted to bench Caleb. Like
Yeah.
there were issues with Caleb, which you know what that is. Jealousy is a weak emotion. You got to overcome that. Like your Eversole can't get the talent right, which is when coaching matters. So he's done. Like he's not fighting for his life. The fight's over. What is it? What is the Game of Thrones? Winter has come. Like it's over for him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are you good? You I thought. I just think I look at that. Yeah, is that I got the I got the New England Patriots covering. They cover. They don't win. I think the Dolphins win. They cover. Drake May is playing a little bit better as well too. Your defense is for, and then there's talk right now. Mike McCarthy, not Mike McCarthy, Mike McDonald's job, the Miami Dolphins head coach. His job's in jeopardy potentially if they don't win as well
Sit on
too.
that for a minute. What do you think about that? Because I don't I think he's done a fantastic job in Miami. Now I'm not a Dolphins fan, and I don't. But I think they added a guy in Tyreek Hill. They've still got the other wide receiver whose name escapes me at the moment. They got Mostert at running back. They've done. They just don't have the quarterback.
Well,
Too inconsistent.
the thing with him is that Shanahan thinks supposedly guys like Tua are supposed to be able to play in that system easy thing, and then he's been hurt too. So yeah, it's tough for him. I think he does survive it, but if they collapse big time and go down in flames and start like go on a streak here, the losing streak, I think he's done. I really do.
I actually like New England to cover that game, but they struggled when Brady was the quarterback of Miami. That was actually one of the games I was gonna pick at, And you said I'm not picking them to win, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. So, I'm still in the same boat with you. I like New England to cover that game. They struggled when Brady was a quarterback in Miami because I think Brady used to dip a little when he was in Miami. Just my opinion. But looking at it now, I don't think Miami's that good, and I don't think it's Mike McDonald's fault. I think McDonald's done a good job. Maybe I need to pay more closer attention. What's your final?
The other one, I usually don't do this for division games, but a 10.5 point spread with the Commanders favored by 10.5, I'm taking the Commanders. Coming off a loss, their run game is really the strength of that team. You look at the Cowboys' run defense stinks. It's a lot of points to put on a rookie,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also I look at the other side, it's Cooper Rush and what he
But it's a rivalry game.
Yeah, yeah, it's a rivalry game, but you need a team that has some fight, and this team shows it quits at times. So I'll take I'm going against the grain, my own system.
Yeah.
So I usually go 7.5 is for me is the most I'll go for rivalry. Yeah, I'll take the Commanders and the 10.5 on this one.
So I picked the Pats to cover. I'm actually going to pick. I'm going to take the Giants and the points. Tampa Bay is going to New York. It's cold. It's holiday season. Tampa Bay is reeling right now. That's a coach that I think is going to be fired unceremoniously. I actually think they're going to get rid of that coach. I don't know how much is left on his contract, but I think I can't think of anyone's names right now. But the
Todd Bowles,
brother that coaches the Bucks, he needs to buff up on his LinkedIn. I said that last year, but he needed to tighten up his LinkedIn profile, and they kind of snuck in one, and then they got the Eagles. But unfortunately for the Buccaneers, they're not getting that Eagles team again. They're not going to win a division. They're not going to make the playoffs. And if Mike McCarthy becomes available, which the whole world believes he will, I wouldn't be surprised if Todd Bowles is let go and Mike McCarthy heads down there and is a coach. If Mike McDonald becomes available, I wouldn't be surprised. And they're going to use this year as an excuse. But the fact of the matter is, Tampa Bay with Baker, quarterback fakers, and quarterback, they had a ceiling. And they kind of through that ceiling last year, but now they're back. And the Giants, Danny DeVito's are going to be the. I probably shouldn't have done it. That was awful. I'll make sure I cut that out. Danny DeVito's going to be the quarterback. The Giants stink. Like they to the high heavens. But it's still cold out there. It could be a slop fest. I don't think Tampa Bay is 6 points better than the Giants. I think they're maybe 4, possibly 5. So 5.5 is a line no, I'm not touching, which it looks like you want to jump on there.
Yeah, see, I look at I think it's the other way around. The Giants had to prepare for 2 games. They got the short week with the Cowboys ahead, even though it's actually a stink fest. But I look at that and I think, like, okay, you know what? You had all that hoopla around who's the quarterback, whatever. Dexter Lawrence is not happy about it. He wanted Daniel Jones to stay around. So you got your best player on your team is upset.
Best
It's
player on a bad football team.
Yep, Mike Evans is coming back. The Bucks get a big touchdown early. They get a touchdown early. They might fold. They might just go that. I don't care if you go to Tommy Cutlets is coming back. Oh, he can give a spark. Yeah, he gives them to give a spark when the Giants had that defense that was giving them turnovers last year. This Giants defense is completely different. They ain't giving turn the ball over. Yeah,
But
unceremonious.
I'm gonna tell you a phrase. I'm gonna share a phrase with you. And if I hear it anywhere else, I know you gave it to somebody. Being the best player on a bad basketball or being the best player on a bad football team is like being the one-eyed king in the village of the blind. Like, yeah, you can see, but you ain't useful to anybody. So, like, the worst player, like, dude, really, you're the best player in the world. Like, come on, man. You're the one piece of toast that isn't burnt. You're just really crispy. Like, get out of here. Other one that and this is a great way to end the show. The 49ers are really. You mentioned Debo's on it. Like Debo right now is put together by duct tape and glue. Purdy's out, Bosa's out. A little birdie chirped that the team did not appreciate the love going to Donald Trump coming from certain members of the team. I don't know how true that is, but if ever there was something to divide a team, politics and women go hand in hand in that department. They're they've underachieved a lot, and the pressure was on for them this year in the Bay Area. Now they're trucking down to Green Bay for a 4 o'clock game in no last week of November. My man, and it's cold in San Francisco. But what did I say earlier? Your nipples fall off when you go to Buffalo. My man, Green Bay is licking their chops to get because they could put the final nail in the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. And I don't think Green Bay is any world beaters, but they're 49er beaters. And I'm actually going to pick the Packers to cover at 2.5. I think they win that game by at least a touchdown.
Correct.
And that is the end of the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Mike puppet regime coaching that's going on. And they've got to play Purdy. If they're paying Purdy, somebody got to go. And the season started off disastrous with the young man. He's made a full recovery, but with the young man getting shot, that's awful. You hate to hear something like that. You know what I'm saying? And you also had the wide receiver in Ayuk who was holding out, finally got signed in late. Then the tackle trade was a trade. I want to call him trade.
Trent Williams. You got to tell you, Trent Williams.
Trey Songs. That's
I
sorry.
said edge rushers
Trent
know my
Williams coming
name.
into camp late. So yeah, that's so yeah, I love the Packers to blow the doors off the 49ers and the quote the great Mortal Kombat philosopher, finish him. And with
Yep.
that, we are finished with this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. He's Chris Franklin. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to everybody that's watching. As always, if you like the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. And until next week, we appreciate your time here. You be easy.